Now, with just 18 days to Election Day, both Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump are campaigning in Michigan today, and neither one is letting up on jabs against the other. Last night, Trump attended the Alfred E. Smith Memorial Foundation dinner. This is a decades-old Catholic fundraiser here in New York where politicians gently, usually, roast each other. Harris was not in attendance, opting instead for a recorded video, and Trump took the opportunity to call her out on that.
My opponent feels like she does not have to be here, which is deeply disrespectful to the event. But if you really wanted Vice President Harris to accept your invitation, I guess you should have told her the funds were going to bail out the looters and rioters in Minneapolis, and she would have been here.
Meantime, Harris did some roasting of her own while in Green Bay, Wisconsin, mocking Trump's new claim that he's the father of IVF.
It just gets more unbelievable sometimes. And now the man calls himself the father of IVF? I mean, what does that even mean? He has no idea what he's talking about. When it comes to the health care of women in America.
Now, this all comes as fresh new CBS News polling shows Trump with an advantage in the battleground state of Arizona, and it's all about the battlegrounds. He's leading, as you see, by 3 points, 51% to Harris's 48%. Let's bring in CBS News campaign reporter Olivia Rinaldi now. She's following the campaigns for us from Washington. Olivia, Harris responded last night to a comment that's getting a lot of attention from Trump's town hall this week, where the former president insisted, as far as January 6th, that it was a day of love. And he sees that nothing was wrong with that. We know that's not true, but what is the fact that Harris is calling that out, and how is it playing out on the campaign trail?
Yeah, good morning, Errol. Good to be with you. Vice President Kamala Harris sharpening her attacks against former President Donald Trump, as you mentioned, calling out those comments he made in a Univision town hall. Now, earlier this week, he did that town hall down in Miami, where he was asked by a Republican voter about his actions on January 6th, which Donald Trump said it was a day of love and said that nothing was done wrong at all. Of course, as you point out, that is not true, that we know he's being investigated for acts related to efforts to overturn the 2020 election. But Vice President Kamala Harris in La Crosse, Wisconsin last night saying that it points out something that her supporters know, which is that the American people are, quote, exhausted with his gaslighting, and saying enough, and saying, quote, we need to turn the page. Now, that has, of course, become a rallying cry for Vice President Kamala Harris when talking about her campaign versus former President Donald Trump's campaign. But it's also important to note that that voter that asked that question at that town hall told Univision yesterday that that answer was insufficient from the former president, and he will not be voting for Trump. This is a Republican voter. So important to note there that through all of this noise of everything going on the campaign trail, January 6th is still something that voters care about, Republican voters in particular.
And we emphasize swing states because that's where the winning electoral votes will be captured by the winning candidate. And polls appear tight. This election really is a coin flip. Both candidates in Michigan today, what will they be saying and focusing on?
Yeah, both those candidates vying for Michigan's 15 electoral votes, very crucial battleground state there. Vice President Kamala Harris is going to be crisscrossing the state today. Grand Rapids, Lansing, and Oakland County are within her path, where she will be hitting and talking to voters there. But also in Oakland County today will be former President Donald Trump. They're going to be visiting the same place, not at the same time, but on the same day, so important to note there. He will be doing a roundtable with a business group there, and Mike Rogers, who's the Senate candidate running in that state, focused on manufacturing, bringing jobs back to the U.S., things of that sort to appeal to Michigan voters. And then Trump is going to cap the night with a rally in Detroit. So all of them crisscrossing Michigan today, heading back on the campaign trail later on just to get back out there and see how this is impacting all the voters and what they're thinking.
The blitz continues. Olivia Rinaldi, thanks for waking up with us. Appreciate you.